Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome to the Portal Room. It's Paul. Tonight, I'm doing this one solo, but I got our man Terrestrial Material coming in tonight. I'm super excited to get into his backstory and how he got involved into this topic and everything. So, without further ado, welcome Terrestrial Material. What's up, brother? How's it
Hey,
going,
what's
man?
up, bro? How you doing? Really good, dude. Really, really good. How's your night going, brother?
It's going good. As we mentioned at the beginning or before the stream started, we're
The
like,
back
dude, I'm so
channels, yeah.
tired. Yeah, so tired from the week. And then with all the overwhelming UFO news today, we're just like, ah, so this is going to be a nice breather.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we can definitely help each other out when it comes to that, without a doubt.
Nice. I see Christian's on his break, so he would have been here tonight, but he's gigging it up. So all
No,
good, all
enjoy, man.
good.
Enjoy. It's all good. Maybe next time. I'll do a call in. He'll be here.
Yeah, for sure. We might do maybe a panel or something sometime soon, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Craft Beard was actually mentioning that, and I'm like, yeah, we should get Matt up in there, and you get all the peeps. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, be down.
But yeah, let's get into it, Matt. I want to know kind of how far back this goes. Tell me how old you were when you got interested into the topic or UFOs or aliens, and I guess kind of how that journey started, and then into some of the more stranger stuff, if you will. So yeah.
Yeah, I was approached by Richard Doty. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm just kidding. No, look, dude, I feel like lately, I've heard people say I'm a fat or something. It's so funny, bro. I had to make a little bit of a joke for those people. Maybe now they'll run with it. Nah, man, look, my dad, when I was 6 or 7 years old, my dad was really big into Art Bell, listening to the radio at night. My dad was always big into talk radio, dude. Every time we were in the car, truck, going anywhere, my dad had AM radio on all the time. So I grew up listening to talk radio. Still love it to this day. It's amazing, right? I almost swore right there. We're on YouTube. I got to try to clean it up a little bit. Sorry. But anyway, so a lot of late nights, man, that I would, maybe have trouble sleeping, 6, 7, 8 years old. I would go into my dad's room, dude, and he would have Art Bell on at 2, 3 in the morning. And they'd be, the ghost hours, talking about all the ghosts and the goblins. It was scary. Art would read those stories, dude. And if you remember, Art was just a master at reading those stories, dude. I mean, it would scare the hell out of you. And then also obviously all the UFO stuff that would come around, John Lear would come on, or Richard Hoagland would come on, and they talk about, the face on Mars, the pyramids, or 2 billion people on the moon with Lear.
Old school.
Old school stuff, bro. I mean, that's what I kind of came up on when it comes to a lot of that stuff. And I loved it, dude. I loved the mystery. I loved all of that. Now, my dad wouldn't really talk to me too much about it at that time. We would listen, and I would kind of be in my own head about it. But he would mention little things here and there that he liked about it or something like that. But it wasn't something that would always come up, which maybe seems kind of weird, because we would listen to it and so much. You think we talk more about it, but I don't know, not as much. But my dad, very spiritual. My dad literally meditates every day, every morning. That's his
That's
thing.
awesome.
For years and years and years and years. I mean, he would tell you that it helped him kind of quit cigarettes when he was younger too. My dad did 2 tours in Vietnam, so he's had a lot of a history, dude, a
Oh
past.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so, this was something that he would do all the time to kind of, help himself over time. So yeah, he was really, really big in that. My mom did a little bit of meditating with him once, but she said she had an out of body experience and it scared her. So she was done at that point. So she kind of got
Screw
out
that
of that.
meditation shit.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not going to do this, man. It wasn't for her. But my mom was really big into the ghosts side of things. So my dad was really big with the UFO
Wow.
stuff like that, but my mom was really big into ghosts. And so as I got older, went through high school, I would still look at stuff online for UFOs, and you know how we usually would do when we were younger. There was nothing really that organized back then, not that I could run into. I just would see what was out there online, and you hear about stuff. But me and my mom would watch stuff like Ghost Hunters. That was a really big show for us. Paranormal State, all of these shows. I was massively into ghosts. So I've loved this kind of stuff for a really long time, dude. It was about, I would say, because there was a little bit of a gap in time of me looking into a lot of this stuff, because obviously ending high school, going into college and hanging out with friends and being in your younger 20s. I mean, you're drinking, you're hanging out with your friends, you're going to the bar, you're doing other things. and I was doing film school at the time, so I was a bit more focused on that. So I would hear some stuff here or there, but it wasn't as much until about 2012, 2013, when I started really digging more on YouTube, and I was gaming more on PC, and I was doing like a dual monitor thing. Okay. So this is when everything picked up again for me, a lot heavier when it came to the aliens UFOs. I had the 2 monitors. So most gamers do now, but it's nice. You game on your one, and then what do you do on the other one? You have YouTube up, so that you're scrolling through all the UFO stuff. You're going through Greer's
Have it in the background. Yeah.
Secure Team 10, Third Phase of Moon. I mean, all that stuff, classic stuff we used to watch. And so you would go through that, and then my brother-in-law would come over, and he would kind of sleep on my couch for like a week and play Destiny, and he would watch those videos right along with us. And we're going over the Men in Black and all those old videos and photos, and the ISS feeds. The feed gets cut. You see the triangle in the back. Just all that stuff, man. It's great. And then it was a really interesting time, right? 2015, 2016 starts hitting, and I'm just on a high of all of this stuff, because it's been a couple of years where I've just been really moving again in it. And Tom DeLonge comes out. And what are we both fans of, Paul? We're massive pop.
Oh yeah.
Massive
punk
music.
rock. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
It was almost like it was meant to be a bit for us, Paul. It was Tom DeLonge, right? He hit us right.
Yeah, for sure.
He had it right at the start. Okay. And so when he started talking about it, and he was going around in these podcasts, he was talking about how, he was getting this group of advisors around, and all the things that he was learning, he was going from advisor after advisor, and he was putting together this team, and then he was going to release these series of books. Secret Machines, if you remember, was the first book, Chasing Shadows.
Yeah.
I remember pre-ordering that book, bro. It's somewhere in a closet. I've got it. And I couldn't wait to go through that book and read through that book. And so it was such a great time. And so like this momentum for this topic that I had looked at growing up as a kid, and now as I was getting older, mid-20s, moving into my 30s, was just at an absolute scorching pace. Like we've never seen this. Like it was incredible, And so it was just a perfect time. And so it just it's been rolling ever since. Now I started, as far as like content stuff, I didn't really start doing the content stuff until about 2 years ago, but I would do these call-in shows every once in a while. I don't know if you remember Talk is Cheap. Do you remember that channel on YouTube?
I don't. What was the premise, or what?
The sign back there. Okay. This is Talk is Cheap. All right.
Okay.
They did a UFO channel. It was, God, I'm trying to think of his name right now. By the way, I'm terrible with names. Dan Holfeld. Okay. And they had a really, really great YouTube channel. And this was kind of starting to pop off right before the time of the New York Times article in 2017. And I had called in kind of talking about Tom DeLonge a little bit, and I'd watch the channel all the time and stuff like that. And he had asked me back then, he called me on the phone, was like, hey, what do you think about coming on Tuesdays? You want to come on and do a show, do a spot on our show? And I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, what the hell? I didn't even know why he was even asking me this. I'm just talking about the topic and stuff like that. But
you're like,
whatever reason,
qualified.
No, I didn't feel qualified. Are you kidding me? I didn't feel qualified. So I obviously turned it down, and I didn't do anything with that. However, they did hold like a contest where they were like, oh, call in and we're going to change our slogan. And I didn't want them to change their slogan, because it was where talk is cheap, and cheap is talk, and talk is cheap. And I used to say that at the beginning of every episode with them. And so I called in and said, don't change it. And then I won the sign. So they all signed it, whatever. I'm not trying to go too far off track, but I'm just giving you the whole pace. Okay. So everything kind of built from there. And then, like everybody else, I was watching every podcast that I could from, 2015 on, and, going through Spaced Out Radio, and you could name drop all of these channels as you went through and following the whole narrative. And it wasn't until early 23, I think, I started doing the open panel shows with Goof on Rich's channel. And it was just fun, dude. I mean, I was nervous, bro, at first. I was nervous because I'm like, I'm going to talk about this topic, get a camera and everything like that. And I did that. And I had a lot of fun with that. And then, but I would then kind of go on from show to show. I mean, Lou Reviews had an open panel. Stephen Cambion had an open panel. And I would go kind of through that process of jumping on those shows and talking until somebody finally said, hey, man, why don't you start a channel? I'd watch you. I'd watch you talk about this. I'm like, yeah, but I used to stream video games for about a year on Twitch. And I always kind of wanted to get back into streaming for whatever, for doing something, but I just never knew what I was going to do. I did that a lot in 2018. And I was like, okay, well, I'll get back into streaming. I'll do a channel, and that's what I'll do. And that's what I started with my brother-in-law for a little while. We were doing terrestrial material, and we were just kind of talking. And then I went on a panel with Lou Reviews, and me and him were kind of going back and forth about the topic, like most people do with him, but it was civil. And I said to Lou, I said, hey, look, man, there's no way at all that like you're still into this topic, like you're still doing channel and everything about it, if you don't still believe something about this is real. Okay. And supposedly I was one of the first, I guess, people to really say that to him at the time, because I got a message, a DM, maybe a couple weeks after that, from Ali at Alien Addict. And he messaged me and he goes, hey man, I see you on Rich's show, and I see you went on Lou Reviews and stuff, and I really like hearing you. You want to come on our show and start talking, and talk about UFOs with us like that. And so, yeah. And so that kind of rolled into that. And so I was on that channel for a year, and those guys are awesome, dude. They're awesome.
Wait,
really, really
wait
cool
a second.
people.
So is this
Yeah.
like pre-UFO X arc?
What do you mean? Oh, yes. Yeah,
Just
pretty
before
much.
you
Yeah.
joined the UFO? That's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
you came
I'm
in
trying to
from
give you
the
the
other
whole
side.
thing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to give you
no,
the whole
I
thing,
like
bro.
it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if I'm rambling, just tell me. But I'm trying to give you everything right here. Okay. So that's how I ended up getting on Alien Addict and talking and hanging out with them. And as time went on, I mean, I was doing 2-3 podcasts a week some of those weeks. And then I would kind of dabble with Twitter, because the back and forth show that me and my brother-in-law would do, he kind of got caught up in some other life stuff, and he really just kind of couldn't do the show anymore. But Paul, I didn't want to stop. I was really enjoying it, man. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I started this because I wanted to have the conversation. That was really not really here to be a newscaster. That's not really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I said I'll start following even closer than I have, and I'll start doing this channel. And obviously, we know Twitter is like to the second for news. And so
Oh, yeah.
you get around there, you start bookmarking, you're building your shows, and you fall into spaces, man, because spaces are so great. And you start having fun, and you realize, wow, there's conversation over here. But Paul, there's really smart people over there too that know a lot about the topic. And those are the people that I like to be around and talk about the most, because those are the people you're going to learn from. Those are the people that are going to be able to teach you shit, stuff you didn't know. God, I almost swore again. Stuff you didn't know. And even past stuff you missed out on, and help kind of put pieces together, or at least give you some options to consider for theories going on down the road. So that's kind of where that went. But at the end of the day, last year I kind of, just doing the news myself, it burnt me a little bit at the end of it. And I was like, this channel thing, I'm maybe going to step away from this. I'll do spaces, get back to the conversation again. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but that truly wasn't the real reason. Not really the work. It was just like I was burnt out on not being able to have the conversations. Like I wanted to be able to do that again. And spaces were just a great way to get anybody, anytime, with great information, could jump in and talk. And that was like,
and for hours, it's like for hours, like you can be in your PJs and you're just, shooting it the whole day.
Yeah. And it is addicting like that, because people like me, I want to be on the up to date as much as possible. I'm always trying to hear the new thing and kind of form my opinion on what's going on. And in this topic, you need to do that. It's the people who don't dig. That's where you're going to start going astray pretty fast too, if you don't. So yeah, I want to know that I'm getting getting good information, and I'm building off of a solid foundation. But I did have a sighting. Okay, if you want me to jump right into the sighting.
Yeah.
Do you want? I'll let you jump in. I've been going, bro. I'll let you jump in.
No, that's perfect. And I agree with the whole UFO X thing. You don't have the pressure of being on camera.
Sure.
A ton of different people too, like the whole having, what is it, like 12 to 13 speakers up at a time, and kind of that format. It's nice when people are following the rules, I guess you can say.
Which, I've been lucky. I've been lucky, Paul. Like, people have been really cool in my spaces, dude. I don't know if that luck's going to run out anytime soon. It might. but then, it's been really cool. And I've always wanted to leave them open, to the, debunker, skeptic, believer, whatever you want. I mean, it's the only way we're going to be able to get down to it is not have an echo chamber. We got to be able to kind of put ideas against each other to really sharpen up to understand what the deal is. So that's why I've always kind of had that philosophy with it. Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think that that's fair to say for both sides of the coin, in terms of like the skeptics, the believers, and
Yeah.
all of the factions of the community, because there is a certain level of being analytical, but also being biased that can get in your way too from a skeptical standpoint. But then it's the same thing with the believer side. It's like you can learn a lot from a person's experience and your own, but you're not going to have the full picture if people aren't bringing you back to reality, right? Like,
Right.
like a
Yeah.
skeptic would. So, yeah, you need that balance, man.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, look, if your goal is to try to, and the reason why I say just try to understand what could be going on is because I mean we don't know. I mean we have a lot of really good ideas and good theories and things like that. I know some people just like to lean. I don't know. People are like, oh, you could just lean. This kind of just makes the most sense. But it's like, yeah, some of that maybe. But at the end of the day, I'm not really here to lean, bro. I mean, I don't want to do that. At some point, I want to go ahead and understand what are we really looking at. What's the real deal. That's why it's something like personal disclosure, at least with how I've heard people speak about it, has never really been something for me that I think will work. Because I mean, yeah, I've had a sighting, but that's how is that disclosure for me? I mean, I don't know who's flying it. I don't know
Right.
what it's made of. I don't know where it's from. What was disclosed? So it's like maybe that's for some people. I'll leave it for you,
No, I
but
get that.
not
I,
for
g-
me.
I
Not
get
for me.
that. I think it opens you up though to the idea like, okay, something's happening there. And I always say this, like, say for instance, that is our technology. Like, why are you hiding that? And that thing is like pretty crazy. Like that's still like a UFO. Like it's we don't know what
Yeah.
that is, and you guys are keeping that secret. So I think it's interesting both ways. If it's our shit, if it's our technology, and if it's not, like both ways, I'm like, cool, dude. Like this is interesting. It's worth looking into. And I think that's a lot of why people get polarized by the political side of it, because it's like they know, right? Or I think this community knows, right, that these contractors have something, even if it's for their own
Something's going
use.
on. Yeah,
Yeah,
something's going on. I mean, Lewis Witten was working at Glen L. Martin in the 40s, bro. I mean, something's up, dude, with these guys. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have the answers for that, of course. But no, I agree with you. It's not only just interesting though, Paul. I think it's really important. I mean, if they do technology like the Tic Tac has, dude, what's going on? Are we going to be able to take advantage of that at some point? Or like that's pretty big deal, dude. Whether we made it or it's from somewhere else. So yeah, no, I think it's a really big important deal. That's why I follow the topic as much as I do. It's a big part of it.
yeah, and I think it's a little strange, and it can rub people the wrong way with like this whole controlled disclosure. We were talking about it before the stream,
Yeah.
and kind of mentioning like the key figures, and I just think that it's very, very telling that this all stemmed from, I would even say, that incident. Like it really, like when you look at how these people were moving, and like with the funding, when Hal Puthoff was talking about that today on Rogan,
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of like the stuff that's coming out is because like that video was getting tossed around like the JWix server or whatever for a long time, and it just kept happening. So it's almost like, I don't know, like that was probably a pivotal point, and these guys kind of just took advantage of that. And say for instance, it is like Lockheed Martin's Tic Tac craft. Like it's still like, it definitely did ruffle some feathers, is what I'll say. I'm not gonna say like, again, like, oh, like it's a UFO, because again, it might actually just be a bird, right? Too, like you don't know, like but it
Right.
did something, like like I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, I mean that article, I mean, yeah, I think we're talking about how Hal was kind of leaving out really I think maybe we mentioned that how he ended up did maybe later in the interview, kind of connecting back to really what OSAP was supposedly doing, at least to what Grosh was saying, was that they were supposed to, like, Lockheed was supposed to give them the tech or whatever, divest themselves of a craft. Bigelow had the big hangars and everything going on. Like, that was the deal that was going on that he was building and everything else. But yeah, it was a big push forward, and it seems like that the gimbal is probably like the last of the 3 videos that everybody's kind of waiting on at this point from that entire push from 2017 for Arrow to kind of, it's like everybody's kind of waiting for the shoe to drop with Arrow on that, right? And to understand really what they're saying with it, because most people are taking the Arrow and at least taking the Arrow assessments analysis, and they're going with them. Yeah.
Is that the one where supposedly there's supposed to be a fleet and it's like 20 minutes long? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, the gimbal.
Okay.
Where let's look, it's rotating. It's rotating.
Yeah, the classic the classic one. Yeah, that's on every headline. No, yeah, totally. I've kind of, I don't know, like it upsets me, like, for 2 reasons, because it's like those videos are just so old now, and like, it's kind of like the carrot dangling. It's like, all right, well, obviously you guys are still shooting this stuff like on your FLIR or your cameras. Like, what up? What's happening? Like, why the dangling carrot for like these specific cases? Like, I get the classification stuff, yada yada. It's just, it feels like, I don't know, like how Put Off did mention that in the podcast today, like and this is kind of what made me very like, oh, like these people are like really, really controlling the narrative, but kind of just talking about, well, we laid out like a list of like all like the reasons if we should or should not disclose to the public, and based off of like the economic effect that it would have, it just wouldn't be feasible. But it's just, to me, I'm just like it, I don't know, man. It kind of,
well, the weird thing about it,
gross feeling.
No, but I mean, I think the one thing that I considered when he was talking about that, again, I've heard him talk about that. The one thing he left out about that story is that they crunched those numbers through like an AI program. And that was why I was always like, man, what kind of AI did they have back in 2004? That they're running these numbers. How long have they had really good AI, Paul? You know what I mean? So it's like they were running that. Yeah, so he left that out. But the other part of it is like he talks about how he gets called into the Pentagon, right? And they're talking to him about this, and they say, how would the American people deal with us disclosing this? Now, you could look at that, I think, in 2 different ways. You could look at that and say, well, there's proof that it's aliens, and they're trying to figure out, how they're going to explain this technology, or I think you could look at it and say, well, what if we wanted to kind of just fake this though? What if we just started saying that this stuff was, and we put out some fake stuff? Would it hurt the economy enough if we use this as a cover for our own tech? Could we do this? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they could be looking at it from the other way around too. Like, there's another way you could, and how, if just in case they were to fake it, how bad would it be? If we wanted to use this as a tactic. That's another way. I don't know. I thought about that today when I was listening to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we sidetracked a little, but it is interesting, right? We had a lot of information come in today. We had grays, reptilians, Nordics, and insectoids. So our heads are spinning.
Dude, Davis was on fire there, man. He had me. I was on the floor laughing when he started bringing that up. I was like, man, it's like, you can, in certain respects, I think I was telling Tim T this, I was like, it's kind of proof of like just how far this topic has actually kind of come when you think about it. Like, you have Eric Davis sitting here with members of Congress talking about like reptilians and stuff. It's like, when did anybody kind of see that coming? I didn't even think Davis would really even talk very much to any of these people. I mean, he already said that he wouldn't go testify. He wouldn't go, spill secrets. And same thing with Put Off, man. So it's like, these guys are, ever since the age of disclosure, Paul, they just want to start talking. All these people who haven't spoke at all are just out and about now. It's crazy, ain't it?
It's pretty organized, just like how they had that conference and how Put Off came out on Rogan. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
Like they build the structure through these podcast circuits and the way they roll out these movies, and even with these congressional hearings and roundtables and all that, like all of this stuff is so methodical that people like us that are researching this, we get that sense. Like, I think
Yeah.
the intuition speaks for itself, basically, is what I'm trying to allude to. And it just, I don't know, dude. Like, I always flip flop too. Like, we were talking about how Rogan does that as well, right? Like, he's always
Yeah.
like, no, I think it's all ours. And then, like, today he's like, remote viewing is real. That's it. It's
It's
real. Like,
whiplash with him though now. Like it's
yeah.
serious whiplash now. It used to be
Wait, so
kind of
why did you laugh though? Like with Davis? I'm sorry, like it just
just
came up in my mind. Like, was it
yeah,
funny, like
no.
hearing him hit on the lore? Like, is that why?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It's so funny to hear like that stuff. Who has talked about that yet in that kind of a setting? Well, Grush said like biologics, but we didn't go to Greys and Nordics. Like that's like, whoa, we
It's
just jumped
crazy.
another hurtle. And to have that there was just really, really funny. And then also, I guess, the look on Burleson's face, like the whole time that Davis is just going off. Burleson's just like red, like he looked like he was having like ontological shock moment, dude, the entire time. And we were kind of talking about this before too. I think a part that people should go back and look at, which is pretty funny, is right when that panel's done, like you can see Burleson just go right across the table and get as close as he could to Davis. And then he's making all these like hand gestures and stuff, that talking about how the crafts move, and Burleson's locked in. It was just like hilarious, man, because, you would think that they would have had some kind of conversation before, or some of this Burleson would have heard behind the scenes. It just seemed like this was like the first time, like he had really heard any of these guys talk about this stuff. So it's just weird. It
Right.
was just funny to me. Yeah, I was laughing. It was funny.
Well, you know what? I heard just a small part of it, and this was what was a little contradictive. He was like, well, when we look at like the propulsion, we look at all of this and that, regardless of where it's coming from, it's alien to what we have. So
Yeah.
this is alien technology. And then to basically turn that on its face and say, well, it's reptilians, it's like you were kind of leaving the door open with just saying this is like alien-esque, but now you're saying like, okay, they're aliens. It's like the Greys, it's the reptilians, so I can see how
Well,
that could be a little contradicting. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a little lockstep though. I mean, Putoff was even talking about that on Rogan today. He thinks it's ET essentially. I mean, that's even after the whole list, and Rogan's like, "Hey, what do you really think it is?" I mean, he's like, "Yeah, it's from somewhere else, man. It's not from here." So those guys are kind of in agreement when it comes to that. So I'm not super surprised, right?
They're trying to bring back that ET narrative in a sense, right? It seemed like that was kind of put in the basket for a little bit, and now they're kind of, all right, well, yeah, maybe it's ET. Let's bring back the Hollywood propaganda so we can make money off of the age of disclosure. I don't know, just spitballing.
Well, I mean, Stratton said that. I mean, he's from the trailer, at least we've seen. He said he's seen alien craft, alien
Yeah,
bodies, and then
what do you think
yeah,
about
then
that? What's the context? What's the context of how that would have happened? Honestly, like, I don't understand his actual job role and how he would even come across something like that. Like, when I try to imagine these scenarios, I always just like, what, like, how? You know what I mean? Like, that's so vague. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, dude. To be honest, I mean, maybe come across something. I can't even say UAP task force. I can't even really say that. I mean, look, the guy worked on, from the best of my knowledge, he worked on like the weapon systems and stuff for like the F-18 and stuff like that. And he would also he would actually like go back and analyze video data on, or like videos and stuff on other pilots from other countries. And supposedly he could tell like exactly where the pilot or what the craft was from just by how it was being flown and stuff like that. So the guy was like pretty knowledgeable, I guess, when it comes to a lot of that stuff,
Crazy.
which is like another reason of why, like, when you look at something like ATIP, it makes a lot more sense that you would have had him probably, if you want to say that was a program. I mean, I don't think it was, but if you want to say that is what it is, he would have been running that over someone like Lou. I mean, he's got the background that he could do the analysis on videos and stuff like that. Lou didn't really have that. Not in my opinion. So it's a weird one, but like, I don't know. And then at the same time, why would Stratton not go to Congress? Why would he have not went to any of these? Why is Lou going when supposedly we have the guy who's seen the craft, seen the bodies? He's down to say that on a documentary, but he won't go to front of Congress. Like, this just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's
You know?
it's the path of controlled disclosure. So like they're leaving like the little breadcrumbs. Like now Lou got his little spiel out, and now it's gonna be Stratton's time with his book,
It's
and
coming.
then his time maybe in Congress next year or by 2027. Hey, when the world ends, let's bring out Stratton.
Well, I mean, look, if he goes to
I
the
don't know.
hearing that's coming up and his book is not too far out, it's probably not a good little promotion move for him, right? Get his name
Yeah,
out there, get big, and then
fair.
put the book. So that could happen. But then maybe I don't know. I kind of think that Matthew Brown guy is going to end up at the hearing that's coming up,
It sounds
whenever
like
they
it,
do it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, who else are they going to bring? I mean, you're not going to bring Elizondo again. So, I mean, that's kind of
Definitely not.
that's kind of where they're at with it. Yeah.
Well, maybe they would. It would be smart to bring in Grush again to follow up on that investigation. I've mentioned that. I know a lot of people are like, "Well, he already went up there. He said all this stuff." Oh, now, like, yeah, it kind of seems like there's a little bit of an avoiding factor happening, but at the same time, that's such a big drop, right? Like that's such a huge investigation to look into. Like you have somebody submitting a report to the, the IC and all these other factions,
Yeah.
and you're really like that's the most popular report on the dude that was investigating this, and you're not going to keep opening that shit up like week after week, like these Epstein like hearings or like all these other things, right? Like
Well,
it's a
they
little
can't get
weird.
him
Like,
anywhere though. They can't
yeah,
get him anywhere. I mean, he was supposed to go to the skiff, I think, in October of 23, and then that was a plane flight issue, getting a ticket, right? And
how
then,
much
he
of
skipped
that is on his credibility though? Like,
a lot
and
of
I'm just
it.
trying to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Like, how much is that on him? Like,
Um,
probably being like, "Oh, maybe I got duped or something." I don't know.
what do you mean? You think that's why he's not going, is what you're saying?
I think because when you look at like how he's tied, like Hal is kind of like a big focal point along with Davis and all like the key figures, right?
Yeah, they
So
spoke to him. Yeah, yeah.
maybe he found something along the way that showed an aspect that yes, something's happening. There are real programs. The money is being taken right from taxpayers' dollars,
Yeah.
but he maybe saw how the inside baseball was being played. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, this is like kind of shady. Like these people that are saying maybe like that they're for disclosure, are kind of manipulating an entire community if you really, really look at it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you mean after the chandelier photo, maybe he's having second thoughts about Elizondo?
There's
Yeah,
a
look,
ton
I
of
mean,
other stuff, but yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, sure. I mean, look, the first one, like if you didn't get the flight, whatever, okay. I mean, all right, but then he doesn't go to Arrow. He kind of strung Arrow along, which I understand people don't like Arrow. There's stuff that I mean, come on, the government's going to tell us what's going on. I mean, if it's really there, do you really think Arrow is going to tell us that? I don't really think so. So I don't really know what to do with them. Um, but at the same time, so I still think he should have went. Just go talk to him, dude. If you want to try to correct the record later on, you can go into a skiff and prove them wrong. Well, then you can do that. There's no point to not at least go talk to him, I think. But he skipped
But
out on
this is what
that.
I'm
And then,
saying. Don't you think
yeah,
that that's part of like this whole like Christopher Mellon group? They were already upfront, like totally opposed to like Arrow being supportive of this topic.
yeah, he
And
could have been
I don't
influenced.
know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But then you see him now with Esselin now, and now he's rolling around with Jake Barber and Cole Hart and them, and so who knows what's going on with that. And then obviously
All
the
connected.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we can get into all that if we want, but yeah. So it is interesting to see the progression for him, but I don't know. He's got to go talk into a skiff. They got to figure that out. I think that they said I heard that there's. I mean, you know how it is, a sewing circle around this place, bro. I think they've already started talking about a date coming up that they're going to redo this skiff or whatever. So I don't know what happens, dude, if Grush ends up being nothing. Is this whole thing kind of finally over? this whole movement the last 10 years. That is, ufology's
I,
never going to die. Ufology's always good, but like the movement. Do you think?
yeah, I honestly, unless somebody with straight up like a real Bob Lazar-esque type of person, or someone not like Jake Barber, but kind of the head of like these crash retrievals, like
Yeah,
people like that, like the real first-hand people. If we don't have anything even like that after Grush, if he ends up coming out again, then I think, yeah, you're right. I think this movement gets put back in the box, and I think maybe in a sense they are setting it up to be that way, where they're giving small disclosures, but they're still wanting to kind of keep the technology under wraps.
for
Is what I
sure.
think a lot of it probably is. I don't know.
Well,
Honestly,
it's like
I don't know.
it's like every time I've said this before in the past, like every time we get close to where it's like, okay, now we're gonna actually maybe get into the tech. Now we gotta get people to talk about that. That's when we shift. I was laughing today with Avi Loeb. What was Avi Loeb sitting there saying today? He was like, I need $1 billion. And he goes, well, there's two things. We can look into the warp hole or the black hole stuff, like the warp holes or whatever. And then like more like the physics side of it, or we can look into, are we alone? And we look at the aliens. And he's like, let's look at number two. Let's get it's like, come on, brother. Like, and this is like the whole thing for me lately is it's just been, I understand that there's trouble with like releasing tech like that. It's weaponizable. It's probably, it's tough way to do that, right? But my point is, if you can dig at the physics of it, dude, you could get them to you could prove whether or not we were alone with it very easily, because if the tech is there and the math is there, you get these guys to come out and talk about that. Then they have to show their work of how they got through these equations. Where did we learn this from? If they can't show you the origin, well, then we probably got it from somewhere else, bro. And that proves your alien hypothesis at the exact same time, while it proves that the tech's there. It's two birds with one stone, and it gets right to it. You know what I mean? That's where I would love the
Yeah.
focus to go at this point. But if they don't have a defense for this stuff yet, then we're probably going to continue to spin our wheels, dude. And we're probably not going to get anywhere with it, because I think the tech is the big deal. I think it is.
No, I agree. And I think the way Hal Puthoff said it today, that it's like a cluster of embarrassments when it comes to understanding what these things are. It's like, I think that's the perfect answer, honestly. It's like he was saying, I think the people that are recovering the stuff, they might have a better idea. But even at that point, because it's so compartmentalized, the way they established it from the 40s is that, are we going to like shoot these things down and maybe figure out if we're like who they are and what their purpose is for coming here? Or are we going to shoot them down so our adversaries don't get that technology and we utilize it and we get ahead in this Cold War? And
Yeah.
and the way he said, he was like, it's option two. Like, they don't care like who these aliens are, if they are aliens or whatever the craft are. Like, they just care about getting that technology and using it for our own defense systems. You know what I mean? So,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
look at the photo from Elizondo today. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like I mean, that photo to me, like, look, why else would you do that? Why else would you bring out these photos that are not only blurry, but they're debunked in 5 minutes? I mean,
intentional in a sense, maybe.
yeah, there's people have talked about, that's how some of this disinformation stuff works, is where like you inject really bad information on purpose just so it gets debunked, and then it takes everything else out with it. So it's like inject bad info, debunk it, and discredit. It's like that little process. And when you look at like the chandelier photo, how many people stopped following the topic, Paul, after the chandelier? After Lou's book, after the leaks came out, ever since that book, dude, and the leaks and all the stuff with Elizondo, the topic for popularity has been just nosediving. It's been going down, 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 down. And this is another hit, I think, that it's taking again today. So it's like,
Right.
is that the point? It may be, brother. It looks like it might be the point, to kind of
Yeah.
bury this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said it perfectly. Like, I think this stuff gets sprinkled in with small truths and small disclosures. I think that that's it is fair to say too, like whether or not whatever if Lou ran that program or whatever, he did something for people by being a good spokesman. Now, of course, if you're a very critical person, you can pick apart all of his, you
Yeah.
know, whatever, like the way he describes the topic and whatnot, but and his involvement in it. But in a sense, just to give credit where credit can be attributed to, I think it was good to have him speak out about this, but it should have been like maybe what Grush did in a sense, where it's like talk about it, bring out some information, and kind of just be in the background. But I don't know, man. I mean, how much of it really is for the monetization? I don't know. I'm probably a lot of it. Just trying to give the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt here.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, but I think that all that can all be going on at the exact same time, though. I mean, I think you could,
That's
you
fair.
could run a disinformation campaign and make money. I mean, like, why would they have if let's just say Lou was doing this, and I'm always going to put alleged on this, you know what I'm saying? Because how things are out there in the world right now with the stuff. Let's say he allegedly is running it, and that's what this all is. I mean, are they going to care that he writes a book and makes some money along the way, does some documentaries? No. No, that's probably just gonna be part of it. It's all helping move the narrative for him. So I mean, you can do more than one thing at one time, and I think that's a part of this too. There's multiple facets. It's not just one thing, bro. It's not simple. I wish it was. We could save a lot more time. We'd be doing a bit more gaming, maybe writing some music or something, But yeah, no, I think it's a lot of things at once, man.
No, I agree. I agree. Well, that was a fun diatribe. Let's get into let's get into the experience here. So
Yeah, yeah,
tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
what year was this and where were you and all the good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Now everybody thinks I'm a terrible debunker. Now I don't believe in anything, which
They're gonna
they
watch the
couldn't be
first 40.
wronger. Yeah,
They're
which
gonna
you
see the
couldn't be.
first 40 and they're like, I'm gonna skip this. Fuck this debunker.
You couldn't be more wrong, man. But I am hard on the topic, man, because I want to know what's up. But 2016, man. As we all know, 2016, summer of 2016 was Pokemon Go central, dude. Everyone was playing Pokemon Go at that time. Of course, me as well. I played Pokemon. You played Pokemon as a kid, right? Yeah.
I actually didn't. I played the Game Boy game though for a
Oh,
little
okay, well
bit.
that works. Okay, that works. That works. But anyway, when the game came out, my brother actually told me it was coming out. I didn't even know at the time. I was playing Destiny and stuff like that at the time. I was still playing like console games. But he's like, yeah, this Pokemon Go thing came to my place and started showing me that. And so we started going around. We were playing it like crazy. And we would go on these like big sessions, man. And we would go out and we'd be out all day long. We'd have the backpacks, man. We had the
Committed.
batteries with oh, dude, yeah. Like me and my wife were playing. She loves the Pokemon game. Okay. So we had this spot by where we lived, and there was a baseball. There was like this really long stretch of like path. And it's beautiful, dude. There's trees that overtake it and stuff like that. It's great. And it leads back behind our place at the time to like this park. And there's like a baseball diamond back into this park. It's kind of tucked away. It's kind of weird. Like you wouldn't see it from the road. You really wouldn't know it was there, even passing it from the entrance from the road. You wouldn't even know it's there. But there's a baseball diamond there, and they do like the little league stuff and everything like that. And then there's a giant soccer field that's kind of off of it. And then in between the baseball diamond and the soccer field, there's a volleyball court, but it's like sand. So it's kind of a weird, like laid out place. It's kind of strange. But I guess it's a little Michigan park, that's how they do it around here. And this place we would go to at the end of like a long play session. Like we were about to go home. We were like, okay, let's make one last trip around the baseball diamond because there's tons of Pokestops and there's a lot of people around. So you get a lot of the good spawns and stuff like that. So it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in July there. And I was probably about 3/4 of the way around the baseball diamond. And my wife was out in front of me a little ways, because if you remember with the game, you would have to kind of go off course to get some of the Pokemon. And they ended up like changing the game later on so that you couldn't, because people were like falling off stuff and everything and they were getting hurt. And so they had to change all that. So she was ahead of me catching a Pokemon, I mean, my wife walks way faster than me anyway. Okay. She's like a gazelle out there. So I'm always trying to usually keep up with her. But I get about 3/4 of the way around and I'm looking down at my phone, obviously. And I'm looking around at my Pokemon, going through my Pokedex. And I just get this urge, man. And I've never had this any other time ever in my life. And it's a clear day, by the way, too. Beautiful day. Couple of clouds, the little wispy ones that just hang out, they're just chilling that are there. And I get this urge to like look up. I don't hear anything. There's no voice. It's nothing like that, but it's overwhelming, dude. Like look up. Okay. And so I do. And right off, maybe another quarter of the way around in the sky is this giant gold orb, dude, in the sky. Huge. I think when I was on a intro as I was talking to him, a good way to describe it, which was great talking to him about this experience because he kind of gave me some better ways, I guess, to describe the way I was seeing it at the time to other people. So like to describe how big it was like if I had an apple in my hand holding it out, that's like the size of it was in the sky. Huge in the sky. Okay. And so I'm like looking at this giant orb. Okay. It's a little bit further away, but yeah, same idea, a little bit less of the clouds that are there. And it went really, really big golden. Okay. And then it would go dim, really low dim. And it would get hazy. Okay. There you go. You get a little hazy to where you really couldn't see, but it was kind of like a film grain with like a Gaussian blur over top of it. If you understand what that is, like in the editing stuff, it's like a Gaussian blur with that grain. And it would do that, dude. It would go really, really huge, bright. And it was like a gold you've never seen, it was like, not, I always make this joke. It's not the color in your crayon box you're going to find, man. I mean, it's not the way it is. So it's incredible. It just stands out for you. And it would go right back down again. And it did that. And I'm watching this thing. Okay. Now, when you start to get to that 3/4 way around the ballpark, that path that you start to come into that path again that led you into it. So there's like these trees that come up off over the top on your right. Okay. Because I'm going counterclockwise around this park, if that makes sense. So I'm starting to move around and I want to get closer to this. I'm trying to get a better sight, even though, it's in the sky, man. I'm trying to, get up closer. I want to get around these trees to get a better sight of it. And as I start kind of getting around the way, I yell to my wife as I'm moving. I'm like, you see, what is that? What, you see this in the sky? And she's like, yeah, she sees it. She sees the orb. And there's people that are playing volleyball right in front of it on that last quarter of the diamond. And they're out in the sand, they're playing. Yeah, dude. Okay. And I wanted to yell at them, Paul, because it's right above their head. It's right above them. Okay. So we were looking at like an angle that's like that from me. Okay. It's above their head. And I'm just about to say it. Like, hey, you guys, look up. What's the UFO? And my wife turns around and goes, don't say anything, dude.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Yeah. You're going to spook people out.
Right. Especially because if it dims down, I get around the corner, it moves a little bit across the sky a bit more, and it's a plane or something. I'm going to look like a nut job. Right. But so I don't say anything. I wish I would have at this point. I really do. Wish I just would have said it. Okay. But so as I start to get up closer and I start to get around the trees, I'm still enamored by this thing. But when the second one pops up right there in the sky behind it, now I don't see it pop in, but when I get around the trees, it's following, dude, around the other one. It's following. They're moving together and they're both doing the exact same thing. Super bright and then dim down. Wow. And when it dims down, it's like, I'm trying my hardest at that point to make out, is it a plane, dude? What is this? Because I want to know. Like, I don't want to be fooled. Like, this is because I've heard about this stuff forever. And I'm like, oh my God, am I seeing this? Like, this is such a cool moment. And so I don't pull out my phone to record, even though I'm holding it. I'm not thinking about that. I want to get the full visual. And as they move across the sky, and this whole thing is maybe 35, 45 seconds, somewhere in there. Like they're not moving like, jet planes, like really, really fast, but they're moving at a pretty good clip. They're moving together. And the first one I see goes into a cloud, into one of those little wispy clouds. And I'm really, really watching now because I'm like, okay, it made its way to a cloud. It's behind the cloud. Now I'm going to know. Pops out the other side, Paul. We probably got a plane. Okay. We probably got nothing here. That one moves in. The second one, not far behind, goes in. And I'm just staring. I'm waiting. And the cloud dissipates. They're gone, bro. They're gone.
That's crazy, dude. Oh
At
my
that
God.
point in time, dude, I looked at my wife. I said, dude, what did we just see? What is this? Now dude, like, it didn't scare me in the sense of like, oh, like, I was going to get hurt or something or what. It wasn't like that. It was just like this wave of like, holy man, this is real.
Like
Like, this is
adrenaline.
real, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
exactly. Yeah. Like, it was an adrenaline rush of like, what did we just see? Like, how is this? This is for real going on. Like, I've heard about this stuff forever, but really, like, really, dude, that's that possibility. And so my wife was a bit more chill about it. And when she was younger, she talked about how she had seen a light in the sky that seemed to kind of follow her maybe a little bit when she was going out to work. She's not from my town. She's from a couple hours away. But it was when she was younger at that time. We still kind of knew each other, and she had told me about this in the past. But so maybe she was like a bit more used to that feeling or had that moment already, and I just wasn't there. But she was kind of like the more, try to calm me, be like, hey, this is what
More
we seen.
grounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, way more grounded. Okay. And so we start walking back up that path. And I'm just like, because I was like, dude, like, do we see something we weren't supposed to? If it's not
Yeah.
alien, like, were we not supposed to see that? And it's so silly, it's stupid, but I'm like walking down towards the end of the path, and I feel like the MIB or the FBI or CIA is gonna like step out in front and be like, hey, you guys weren't supposed to see that, throw us in the van, get us out of here. Dude, it was like that, man. Like, it was that moment of where you really believe you saw something that, ours or not, wasn't right. Like, that doesn't
Yes.
exist. Like, that's not a thing, dude. Like, and so you just really felt like you had been a part of something you shouldn't have been. And obviously, like, you made a good way to put it, the adrenaline. We were not like gonna just walk back home at that point and sit on the couch and chill. We got back in the car and drove to another park that was up the way, because I was like, man, I gotta walk this off a little bit more, but I don't want to do it there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do it there. The paranoia was real, bro. It was like really real. And so I parked the car or whatever, and I call my mom on the phone, and I'm like, dude, we saw these two orbs and stuff like that. My mom's just like, oh yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we're not drinking, it's like, we're not doing drugs. Like,
You had to tell somebody.
yeah. Yeah. Well, because I knew me and my mom are very, very close. Very, very close. And my dad's, obviously, they got me on speaker. My dad's in the background. Oh yeah. Hey, you seen that? That's interesting. But he was never, just like when we listened to Art Bell, he was never going to make a huge deal out of it. He was just going to, acknowledge it and kind of move on. But yeah, so then I got out, walked around and chilled out, after that. And then, kind of, went back home. But, I've never seen anything since then. Nothing like that, dude. Nothing like that. I've seen planes in the sky reflect sunlight and stuff like that. But nothing like that. And, over the years, I've went back to that park, Paul, and I've walked around that diamond, and I did a lot, last year, like around the summertime, because I screwed up my back, dude, and I was like walking, and that was a good thing. And I would go there. I'd go to that park and walk it, because I knew I was going to walk a lot, and I wanted to, see what it was like during that time of day, 4 or 5 o'clock. And I swear to you, brother, I have never seen an aircraft come across the sky the way that one did, the angle it did, and come. Never again. I've never seen it. I've been looking and looking and looking. The biggest thing that really irritates me is I didn't really deal with like flight radar back then. I didn't really know what was going on with that. So I kick myself like crazy every time, because I wish I could see that now. If anybody knows a way to go back and look at flight radar from 2016,
Right.
dude, tell me, please, because like that would be
I think Grider
monumental.
does.
Dude, if he can go that far back, because like I've looked, and on the premium versions, I think even the commercial versions of it, you can only get like 5 years, I think 5 or 6 years. But if he can, dude, please, because that would
Right.
clear up a lot for me, for what I seen.
Dude, well, it's like you said, man, like, even if that's ours, like, what is that doing up there? Like,
Yeah.
that was my first experience as well. Like, I saw it midday too. It was a metallic orb, the same way I displayed that picture. And we were driving, and then I saw it there. I told my aunt jokingly, "Is that a UFO?" We both stared and we're like, "What is that?" And it just went poof. It was just like, that's like some Star Trek shit right there. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Nothing can move that fast. And if it does, I want to ride in that.
Well, and the crazy thing, dude, is like I listen as much as I can. Like, obviously, I'm in these spaces a lot, man. And I like to listen to people talk about their experiences and stuff like that, because I'm always trying to like hear someone who has something similar to me. When people talk about like that feeling, that urge to look up, that's usually when I kind of clue in and listen. But I
Yeah.
never had heard until, and I think you were in that space, bro. I think you were there like a couple of months ago. And what was it? It was Paranorman, or isn't that his name, Paranormal or Paranorman?
Yeah.
I think that's
Paranormal.
his. Yeah, Paranorman, or I see a lot of his stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. But I think it was him, and he was talking about how he walked out his place at night and seen the two moving like the same way. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, dude. Because that's exactly the way that it happened for me. I don't know if he had like the urge to get up, but I know when he walked outside and looked up, they were moving the same way in tandem like that. And that was what was weird, because even with mine, dude, no sound. There was no sound, no anything, nothing. It's why I'm still here, Paul.
Crazy.
It's why
Yeah,
I'm
man.
here, dude.
Same.
And look, I know people would be like, well, how can you say you're interested in the topic? Like, if you would like probably not be following it as much if you didn't have the sighting. It's true, dude. Like the people, like, if you haven't had a sighting and you're sick of this stuff from the last 10 years and you're finally done with it, dude, I don't blame you, man. I don't. It's so difficult. All this topic has been so difficult, especially the last 2 or 3 years, to really get behind it and get excited about everything. But you have people like me who have seen stuff. I gotta know, bro. Like I gotta try my best to figure it out. Even if I don't, I still want to be able to take some time to look into it and see if I can make some kind of heads or tails of the situation. It's not, when you have a sighting, it's a ball and chain, bro. You can't just walk away. And I think Average Chris had a tweet where he was out there and he was like, oh, I'm getting sick of this and stuff like that. I'm like, hey man, if you haven't had a sighting, count yourself lucky, man. Like in a lot of ways, it's a blessing and a curse, dude. It really is. 100%.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I always kind of have this in the back of my mind. It's like, if you're frustrated, well, let me rephrase this. If you are interested in UFOs, but you're not interested in where the topic is at and the people involved in it, then maybe you shouldn't be into UFOs.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe you should, like,
Yeah.
maybe that interest is not doing something good for you, because maybe there's this like like this, I don't know, like this bias that you're not looking past. And if
Are you
people
saying for
aren't,
me? Are you saying for me?
no, I just mean
Oh, okay. Cause I
anybody.
love the topic
Like,
too. I mean, yeah,
no,
but yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
the people that talk
Oh,
about it
okay.
every
Okay.
day,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but they're
Yeah.
frustrated about it every day. So it's like, if you're into this and this is causing you stress, maybe you shouldn't be into this. Maybe you can utilize those skills for something else. Like, I don't know. That's kind of the way I think about it. Like, don't waste your time if you think it's all a joke. Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I see it. But I guess,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
we need a spectrum of people, right, to kind of keep things balanced. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, it is kind of a little, I guess, sad, because it's like, I would think that if you're talking about this all the time, you would at least have maybe a couple of incidents where you're having fun with it, unless you bashing it is your way of having fun, then, albeit, I mean, that might be just what it is really for some of the people.
Well, you know what I think a lot of it is, dude, is I think a lot of people who really bash this topic, they think they're gonna change it. They think that they're gonna change ufology, that this is gonna go away. It's one debunk away. It's never gonna go away, dude. It's not,
It's
man.
never. This shit
There's
is so
never
ancient.
it's nothing but it's nothing but a cycle. It'll always turn around, it'll always come back. That's why when I said earlier, do you think that this last 10-year push is dead if Rush doesn't kind of pony up here? It's because it's
Could
just the
be.
last 10 years, man. There's 80 years of this, dude. If you think you're gonna come in and knock out the jellyfish and it's over, bro, you need to take a little bit more time and dig into the history of this a little bit more. That's not the way it's going to work. And that's why, like, you know, I know that I never try to name names or whatever, but I know people that get really, really upset about it. And, you know, when people don't believe their debunks or don't want to kind of change their mind on it, I'm just like, you can tell people your beliefs all you want. I mean, you can tell them, hey, this is wrong, this is bad, but don't get mad if you don't change the world today, bro. Like, just have your expectations, have good intentions, but, you know, don't kill yourself over it. You know, it's not,
Yeah.
this is an immovable object, bro. And it's especially for one person, you know, maybe one or two people. So, you know, expectations are important.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So, Terrestrial, for closing thoughts, I think this hour was perfect, man. What do you think? Where do you? I'm gonna actually use Christian's
Sure.
ending question that he
Sure.
usually does. So, a year from now, where do you think disclosure is gonna be at?
Oh, gotta be careful how I answer this. Hit you the Elizondo there. In a year from now, huh? Um, Look, if Grush and I mean, I hate to even like add Matthew Brown into this. You kind of have to, but this is just like it extends it, and I want to stop extending this narrative that's been going on the last 10 years. Um, I think it continues to revert back. You know, I think you're going to hear more and more, and you're already seeing it. To be honest, Paul, Bob Lazar is coming up like crazy again. Project Avatar is coming out. We're already moving back again. Lazar is kind of the number one default position when the current topic isn't going right and people don't have anything to talk about. We usually revert back to him. Greer is probably going to take more of a center stage nearing the end of the year if Elizondo and this whole movement continues to not produce anything but photos like today and just conversation. It opens up pathways. Like the end of last year did that. Like the end of last year with how the last congressional hearing ended with Elizondo and how Luna and them were kind of upset about just talking about the book and not proving anything. That's why you see a lot of these people from past ufology coming back around. So the lanes reopen. We see this happen before. So that's kind of where I think we'll be at. You know, there will be a lot of people that will leave in a lot of the momentum that's been built since 2017. We've already seen a swath of it go away. More and more of that will go away. They'll lose interest if these guys don't pony up. And then we'll be kind of where we were 2016, 2015 ufology. You know, we'll go back and we'll, you know, talk about Dick D'Amato out of Area 51 and, you know, how he talked. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, that's the kind of stuff that we'll go back to. You know, these older cases. The older cases. We'll talk about Phil Schneider again. People will talk about Pascagoula, which is a phenomenal case. It's great. It's probably one of the best. But that's what'll happen. You know, that's like the ufology that won't go away. That's going to be here to stay. Those older cases, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. I mean, tremendous stuff. Cash Landrum, the list goes on and on. That stuff's not going anywhere. Right. So I think you're just going to see it revert back to what we had prior to the New York Times. But, you know, nearing by the end of the year, if these guys don't put up. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And maybe part of this effort was to embed themselves into the lore. So this can get,
Sure.
put right back in the box, and then now they're embedded into that lore, and then it's gonna be maybe another lull or something. I mean, it's a good theory. I can see that happening.
Maybe the one thing I would maybe push back on that a little bit with it though is that I think this generation, if you want to call it that, of people into UFOs, it's different than the past. We've
That's
never
true.
had so many avenues of entertainment before. We've never had so many choices before of what to put our time into, and I think a lot of these people have. It's going to be harder to dredge up those older cases because I think a lot of people that are going to be interested or that have been interested in this are just going to move on. So a lot of that story won't be as prevalent maybe as even some of the older stuff was, in my opinion. You know, because now that stuff's getting debunked really quick, like some of that stuff. We're already moving through it. I mean, Arrow's throwing out, you know, jellyfish cases and, you know, that they're already kind of debunking that video. Like, I think people's attention spans will move on quicker. I don't know if this era will be as remembered, if that makes sense. I could be way wrong, but like, I don't know. That's the way I view it.
It's a fair take, man. I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm almost hoping for it to just be fun again.
Yeah, like it won't be looked back fondly, I guess. And maybe that's the best way to sum up what I'm trying to say. It won't be looked back as fondly
Yeah.
as the other times. People have never been so let down in this topic from this era. And so I just, down the road, I don't know if it'll carry.
Well, it's fair to say, man, honestly, but at least the people here, right, that are on ground level like us, I think that will continue. And I think that there's going to be a lot of independent disclosure in a lot of ways, regardless if you want to call it alien. I think the documentation might get better. So that's something I'm kind of hopeful for. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, man. Look, I'm always ready to put my foot in my mouth, bro. Hey, anytime, let's do it. Let's roll out the body. Let's roll out the craft. It's just I said this at the beginning of the year. This is the year, though, Paul. In my opinion, it's time to put up or shut up, man. They've got to go ahead and move this thing forward. If these guys have access to videos, if they've got access to this hard proof, it's time, bro. You have Congress's attention. You have everyone's attention. Do it or don't, man. It's right now.
Well, fair point. You heard it, folks in the CIA. Get it together.
Yeah, please. I want to, I want my craft, man. I want my spaceship. Let's get it.
Yeah, I want to fly one around. Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Terrestrial, I gotta say, this was actually really fun, man. I'm being totally honest. I'm not just saying that. This was really fun. I always love just shooting it with you, talking about the nuances of like everything moving around in this topic. So I really appreciate you coming through tonight, and I'm glad I actually got to hear your entire sighting story. I think it's pretty awesome in my opinion. I resonate with it because I had a similar experience. So
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
glad
talk
you
about
shared
it
that
too
with me.
much. People I feel like it's dime a dozen around here. People have cases. Well, I've never really spoke about it a whole lot. Plus, it's not really like proof for anybody. So, when people ask, I talk about it though. Yeah, but no, thanks for having me, bro. This has been a blast. I love having these conversations, man. It's the best part.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Terrestrial, thanks again, brother, and everybody that tuned in for tonight in the portal room. Have a good one. Peace.
See you later, guys.